Our film starts in the year 1981 in San Francisco, with Crash Jardins, inventor of a portable detection device for detecting algae, who spent his life savings on it and is trying in several ways to market and sell it. But because it is very expensive, selling it is a bit difficult. That was the reason he had many problems with his wife Linda, who works all day to help pay the bills. Once he saw the car of his dreams and asked its owner how he could get one like it. The owner replied, "I work as a broker in the stock market." Chris decided to apply to Danota Company, hoping to get hired. He tried to meet Mr. Tweezle, the human resources manager, and took a taxi with him to convince him. Luckily, Mr. Tweezle was trying to solve and convince him. It was impossible for anyone to solve it in less than half an hour, but Chris took the cubes and solved them while talking to him. That caught Mr. Tweezle's attention to his file when the job became available. But this task made Chris late to pick up his son from daycare as he had agreed with his wife. His wife had had enough and left the house. There, Poppy, she took her son with her, but in the middle of this madness, he gets a call from Danota Company for an interview appointment. Also, another day he meets Landa, his wife, at Hanana, his son's place. He insists that his son stay with him and takes him home, but since he's late on paying rent, the landlord argues with him and tells him he has to pay or leave. They trick Chris into waiting on purpose in return for securing the entire apartment, but unfortunately for him, just as he was about to secure it, the police came and arrested him due to unpaid fines and bills. This made him late for his company interview, and he went to them in the same clothes he wore in prison, looking disheveled. He tried to convince them that he was competent for the job and very skilled with numbers. And the company owner asked him, "What do you think if someone comes for an interview not wearing a shirt or a tie?" And I accepted him to work here. And his boss replies to him and says, he must have been wearing nice pants. Eventually, he goes to the company but then turns down the job when he learns the first 6 months have no salary, but Mr. Twistle tries to convince him to find a way and join the training. Anastas. They leave Free Store. When he goes home, he keeps thinking about the training until he calls Mr. Twistle and gets informed that he is finally starting and was approved for street training. And he moves to a simple motel cheaper than the rent of the apartment where he was living. He leaves his son at daycare, and during training he has to complete a certain number of calls to get priority for the appointment. So he made a plan that involved not drinking during practice so he wouldn't need to go to the bathroom. This saved him time which he could use to make more calls. Eventually his life started to improve until he received a letter informing him if he doesn't pay the overdue taxes, they will automatically be deducted from his account. But unfortunately, by the time it arrived, Chris received it on the same day it was due. They pulled out all the money from his account, leaving him with nothing, as he's back to struggling again, trying to sell any device. After a long day, he returns to the hotel only to find the owner has thrown his stuff out because he didn't pay the rent. He takes his son and goes to the train station, not knowing where to go, playing with his son and telling him a story until he falls asleep and drops his belongings. One day he and his son have to sleep at the train station, another day they stay at a shelter for the poor. Sometimes they find a spot, sometimes they don't, and end up sleeping in the train or on the street. But the 6 months pass and finally, he gets informed that he was appointed at Dinotor as a broker, and for the first time in a long while, Christopher Gardens feels happy.